the involvement of the client is quite important for us. And, we always wanted them to feel heard and valued. And at the end of the day, it's also their business. And for us, we're like the third party coming in to help them.
You're listening to the Architect My Life podcast, a show dedicated to empowering women architects and designers to achieve business growth, financial freedom, and health and wellness. I'm Aya Schlachter, your host and CEO of MGS Global Group. Our company provides Revit, ArchiCAD, and CAD drafting services to busy architects and design firm owners. MGS Global started as a part-time gig when I was a new mom, but it has now grown into a thriving business that provides drafting support to creatives, helping everyone maintain a healthy work-life balance. This podcast is proudly presented by MGS Global Group. Now let's dive into this episode. Hi everyone, our guest for this episode is Sarah Ramos. Sarah is the visionary force behind Eldane, a leading design firm in Canberra, Australia. With a wealth of experience and qualifications in architecture and interior design from the Philippines and Australia, Sarah is dedicated to crafting purposeful spaces that not only mirror the client's lifestyles but also foster a safe and healthy built environment. As a seasoned Filipino architect, her designs are a fusion of Philippine and Australian influences, breaking conventional boundaries and telling compelling stories through the seamless integration of cultural richness and contemporary functionality. I'm so excited to talk to her today. Welcome to the show, Sarah.
Well, thank you, Ate, for having me.
I met Sarah in Australia. She was so kind to introduce me. No, we met through LinkedIn. I was doing an
Yeah.
outreach to architects in Australia, and she wanted to meet me and met me on my first night in Canberra. And I didn't know anyone, but Sarah didn't end up going to the conference, but she introduced me and you really welcomed me, Sarah, in Canberra. I really felt at home within my first 30 minutes because we actually met in my first 30 minutes in Canberra with Ram. So I just wanted to thank you for being so hospitable. That's why I feel like Australia could be my home in the future or maybe part-time. Thanks to Sarah, really.
Thanks, Ate. Yeah, it was such a shame because we also wasn't able to have proper food at that night, so we missed
Yeah.
out on that one.
So, so Sarah invited me to a Filipino dinner, and I was late to the dinner because of my flight. We didn't know. I didn't know that the hotel we were staying at, I was staying at, was vegan. And Filipinos love meat, and I'm like, oh my god, I ate eggplant and walnuts for dinner.
Ah,
Anyway, that was fun. But thanks for reaching out to me as well in LinkedIn. I'm really excited to highlight you in the show because you're a very successful Filipina and Canberra. For some of you who don't know, Canberra is the capital of Australia, and there's a lot of construction going on there, a lot of schools, housing. But Sarah will talk about it. But before we get started, Sarah, can you talk about your involvement in the group with Rom, the
oh, yeah.
Filipino?
So, um, I think a couple of years ago, at Hazel, Saram, and all the other Filipino architects in Australia tried to. Well, we actually established United Architects of the Philippines here in Australia, and part of it is Australia and New Zealand. So I've met a lot of Filipino architects through that community, and yeah, we were able to hold our induction in the Philippine embassy. We've met delegates, the ambassador, and we've connected through that platform. And yeah, it was such a great experience. And establishing the actual chapter was quite hard. There was a lot of paperwork, a lot of like back and forths with the UAP back in the Philippines. But yeah, we made it, and yeah, it's all through the help of everyone in the chapter. So yeah.
Yeah, because for most of you who don't know the Filipino community, UAP, United Architects of the Philippines, is a big organization, and they're worldwide. And so, were you one of the founding members in Australia?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I was the charter secretary when we founded the organization, and our charter president is at Hazel, and
Yeah.
yeah, we've all worked very closely in trying to get it to the foot. So yeah.
So how long has it been, and how many members do you have?
So when we initially started, there was 30 members, and right now we're about 50. We're still growing. We're still getting there, but there's a lot of other Filipino architects that are still tossing around whether to join the UAP Australia, mainly because you know it's a very different compared to AIA. So yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things about the UAP is, having a community of Filipinos, especially when you move to a new country, right? Especially from the Philippines to Australia. So let's talk about your Australian migration story. Like, how did you end up in Australia? And could you share a little bit of a background, your
So,
background?
yeah, I initially moved to Israel because I've met my boyfriend and we were already together for a couple of years before I moved in. And I moved in through education. So I've studied, architecture in the Philippines, and I continued my studies here in Australia. And then I've added a couple more supplement, and I also studied interior design in here just to balance everything out, and that's became my pathway to migrating.
So you came here through school.
Yeah.
So did you work with any other companies before you started Eldane?
Yes, 100%. So, when I was finishing up my study, I was already in the industry working with AMC architecture. It was a really, really good experience because, getting exposed to the local practice is quite an eye opening where, it's very different to the Philippines or to Singapore. They're very laid back. Except for when we have deadlines, obviously. I think that is something within the industry that you can't take away. And then I've worked for a joiner just because I wanted to gain the knowledge, the technical knowledge on how to actually install joinery, or I think in America it's called millwork.
Yes.
Um, I'm not sure,
Yeah, it's
but
called millwork. In
yeah.
Australia, it's
So
joinery, right? Yeah.
yeah, so having the technical knowledge on how to actually assemble and fix it to walls and stuff are, quite a really good knowledge. Transitioning to Eldane or DoD Studio beforehand, where we actually have the knowledge to properly guide our clients throughout the process, not just on selecting finishes or all those other type of things, but we do have the knowledge on the time frame, mainly because we were exposed in that type of industry. So yeah,
So what was your experience working in Australia compared to the Philippines? Was
it
it
is.
difficult? And I'm as a culturally and language also, and like, was it a difficult transition?
Well, it is. Well, personally for me, it was intermediate. Mainly because back then at AMC, we were all using AutoCAD, and back in the Philippines, our experience was with AutoCAD as well. In the Philippines, I've used to do design coordination, which became quite handy because prior to moving to Australia, I was already dealing with Australian projects. Like Singapore projects and everything else. So moving to Australia, it's quite easy because I already have like a sense of the standards and the templates,
Right.
which kind of like ease into the workforce, and also like my employers and the team that I was working in were very, very helpful and very supportive of the process of, oh, this is her first job here in Australia. Let's try to ease her in. But yeah, that was quite a really good experience for me.
So it's really good to really have good mentors and bosses that can guide you, because it's a very difficult transition. But I'm very impressed by what you've done with your company or with your firm, Eldane. Can you talk about the origins of Eldane?
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, we used to call Eldane DoD Studio, which means design and design, mainly because we do building design and interior design altogether. But last year, we've decided to change it to Eldane to do a rebrand, and we find that Eldane is quite, the most suitable name because it, it kind of reflects efficiency, unconventional methods, and creativity, which is all part of our ethos. We try to like put all of those components into our practice and make it kind of work for each and every project. So yeah, Eldane has been quite our baby since then.
So what does Eldane mean exactly?
So Eldane actually is probably from Old English. It means dwelling or old dwelling. And it's quite straightforward. We're dealing with dwellings, so it's just have a really nice tune to it. So that's what why we
I
came
like
from.
it a lot, actually. So was it difficult to go on your own? Like how did you get your first client?
It was really funny. So back when had DoD Studio, my first client was actually from Instagram,
Oh,
and
wow. I
yeah,
like
and
this already. It
yeah,
works.
and ever since, her name is Helena, and her project is kind of like an internal renovation of her place, making it more livable, like better suited for their lifestyle. So Helena's got 5 kids. Her husband's a painter, and they're just really lovely. And up to now, I think we've remained friends. So, I visit her, she visits me in the office, she brings cakes, and yeah, she's just a really lovely person. So I think that's what started it. And I think it's just word of mouth since then. So Helen has been a very big advocate of DoD Studio. So after like I finished her project, she referred me to her cousin, to her sister-in-law, to friends, and yeah, that's where it started. And up to now, I think all of our projects are word of mouth and referrals, and yeah, that's been a really really
So
good
when
start.
so how old is Eldane now?
Eldane is really new, so I think we're up to just 1 year. But
But
DoD
but
Studio
DOD Studios, when did you start
was about four
DOD?
years. So
So 4 years ago, you started DOD Studio and you got one client, but I
yep,
can't wait for everyone to hear what you're up to now because it's quite impressive that you started with one person from Instagram. People always ask, does Instagram work? Because I do a lot of Instagram too. I'm like, I'm sure it does. It hasn't worked for me, but I'm glad you found a client in Instagram. So you started out in residential.
yep,
So
purely
the first how
residential
many
for the
years
first
of
year.
DOD were you doing residential?
So the very first year of DoD Studio, it's mainly residential extensions, interior renovations, and then we started getting new builds. So like new houses from architecture to interior design, and probably like 2.5 years into the business, we started getting commercial, which is now our focus. So yeah.
Yeah. So can you talk about some of your amazing projects? You don't have to name them, but maybe just the scope of the work. I mean, how big are your projects? Because I went to your office. I was blown away by all the renderings at the back, but that's not even a quarter of the project types you're working on. So what are the exciting projects that how has Eldane evolved from residential extensions to the your biggest projects to date?
So I think it was very gradual. So from residential, we have residential clients that own businesses as well, and they were really happy with their the design of their residence and how it's performing for them, that they came back and hired us to do commercial. So back when I was at AMC, most of the projects that they have are purely commercial. So I still have like a little bit of leftover knowledge to commercial projects, and it started with retails like shop fronts, cafes, restaurants, and it evolved. So like friends of friends or family of previous clients would have this business, and they would say, "Oh yeah, go to, Eldane, go to Sarah, and she'll look after you, mainly because like customer service is a really big part of our industry, whether, we like it or not. So I think they were very happy with, the time frame that we finished the project, the standards that we finished the project with. So now at the moment we're working on co-working spaces from, 1,600 to 3,400 square meters. Then we also have, a couple of office fit outs, which are like 8 levels. So 8 levels across 1,800 square meters each level. We started doing hotels. And then like specialized heritage projects. So some are a bit more complex than the others, but still forms like a collective dynamic undertaking, which I hope the team has been enjoying. And yeah, that's what we are up to right at the
You're
moment.
also doing a lot of retail projects, right?
Yes, retail
What
has
are the,
been
yeah,
40% of what we do.
40%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell us what it is, or you're not allowed to the projects?
Um, Yeah, it should be all right. So we do a lot of small retails from 100 square meters to 800 square meters. So for probably the past couple of years, we've done 25 hair salons, which is, yeah, hair salons has been, I don't know, every
Wow.
time someone has a hair salon, they come to us. We also do like skincare clinics, dental practices, in terms of retails, a lot of shops, so gift shops, clothing
Department
shop.
stores too, right?
So,
Do
yep,
you do department stores as well?
yes, we do. That's part of our retail. So, yeah,
I love how Sarah is very low key and so humble. I like to like promote Sarah and all the amazing things that she's doing. So, how large is your team, Sarah? Can you talk about your employees and your partners?
yep. So at the moment, I have no business partner, and I think that will stay the same for about the next 5 years. And it's just a personal decision. At the moment, there's 7 of us here in Canberra and 4 in the Philippines. So we have our drafting team in the Philippines, and some drafting are also here in Australia. And in January, we have 3 new people coming in to join the team. 2 new designers and 1 architect. So that's quite exciting for us.
Congratulations, Sarah. I'm always so excited to see Filipina, minority women, thriving in a different country and doing really well with big projects. At the same time, employing Filipinos in her drafting team in the Philippines. I also do have a drafting team in the Philippines, and it gives me a lot of joy that we're also giving back to our, to the people in the Philippines where we're from. So it's good that your projects are in Australia, but your team is in some of your drafting team is in the Philippines.
Yeah, they have a really
Uh,
good skill
yeah,
set as well. So you can't really,
yeah. I mean, it's really hard to find good architectural drafters who are hardworking and detailed, right? And grateful to have work, right? A lot of I bet you were telling me when I was in Canberra that your employees there are so hardworking. Sometimes you have to tell them to stop working,
yeah. Yeah, even after
right?
like 10 p.m. or 11 p.m., they would say, "Oh, sorry, we stepped out during the day, so we just wanted to finish this." And I said, don't worry about it. We're all flexible as well, and I think the last thing I wanted is to burn out any team member. And yeah,
So that's a testament of how you run your business, that people really want to are happy to work with you, right, Sarah?
yeah,
And you're so warm and kind. I love that about you. I was in Canberra last month, and so this is a bonus. Sarah gave us a tour of her office, so we'll do that later. At some point and during this podcast, we'll share her lovely office in downtown Canberra, right? But you are about to move, right?
yes. Unfortunately, because this building is scheduled to be demolished in 1 year, 6 months. So we have
Okay.
to find a new permanent place.
Yeah, but it's a really nice office you'll see in our walkthrough video, and I'm sure the next one will be amazing as well. So what are the challenges you have as a business owner in a, in Canberra or in general in the profession as a woman? Like, do you have any challenges, and how did you manage all of these difficult things that happened as an architect, or difficult deadlines? Like,
Well, first, certainly, I think the very first issue that I had is I had no connection in this country at all, except for, my Joey, my husband, and he's not in the industry, although he's in project management, but it's a different project management. So, establishing community ties was quite hard at first. I didn't even know that there was a Filipino community in this state as well. Ati Hazel, which is the founding president of UAP Australia. It was so funny because we've met 2 years prior, like after I moved in. But for the first and second year when I was at AMC, we were on the same building. So her office is just like 2 floors above our office. So and we've never bumped into each other, so it was really hard to make connections, mainly because everything now is all based on internet and social media. So even if you're walking on the street, you don't even know if that person is Filipino or not, because we share some features with other Southeast Asian countries as well. So it's really hard to say, "Hey, are you Filipino?" Because more
right.
often than not, they're not. So
Yeah.
establishing connection here is quite hard, which is I'm very very thankful for our clients who networked for us instead of us going through to all of these places. Another quite common challenge would be probably language barrier, because mainly because when I first moved into Australia, we do speak English, but it's probably not the same English as Australian English. So there are words that are quite hard to understand, or like phrases that are like a native to them as well. So I think probably in the first 3 months, whenever someone asks me how you going, I always wonder, was like, why is he interested where I'm going?
Yeah, what
But
does that
apparently,
mean?
it's
Yeah.
it's just how are you? It's
Oh,
just a
so how do
greeting,
they
like,
say it?
okay, how you going?
How are you going?
How you going?
That's a
Yeah.
How are you going? And what do you say? Good. You
Uh,
just say
Good.
good.
Thanks. How are you? So it's that response, but um, I think in my first month, every time someone asked me about that, I was like, yeah, just right there, and they would like wonder, like, what is she
I'm
talking
going to the
about?
coffee shop down the street.
Exactly. So yeah, that was one challenge. Another challenge would be the culture. The culture is, like I said, it's a bit more laid back. It's a bit more focused on family and work life balance. And I think when I was in the Philippines, we used to work 48 hours straight. You know,
Oh my God, I
and
hear you.
overtime's not paid. And then you move to Australia and say, okay, we're working nine to 5:30, and 5:30 you're out of the door. I was like, but I still have more things to do, and the team or our bosses were like, yeah, that's there's still tomorrow. That's okay. So that was quite hard, and that's something that I'm employing in the business, making sure that if we overtime like an hour, we could go in late the next day just to have that flexibility as well. Yeah, another challenge is well, in here we've got those type of projects called yesterday projects.
What is it
Um,
called?
yeah, so
Yesterday projects?
yeah, yesterday project, or a yesterday deadline project. So more often than not here in Canberra, when we ask clients when they wanted to finish a project, the usual answer is yesterday.
Yesterday?
And we are just having our very first meeting, and we are yet to be engaged as the designers. So since this type of projects have a very limited time frame, sometimes limited budget as well, the the design thinking plays a crucial role for us. Um, but yeah, streamlining the process and everything else also play into that one. But yeah, we do get a lot of that. So probably a lot of our retail projects are 90% a yesterday project, mainly
Oh,
because
wow.
their lease has already
Yeah.
kicked in and they're
Yeah.
already losing money having that bear. And yeah,
So,
that's
so
quite a
given the
challenge.
amount of work that you have, your yesterday projects, your legacy projects, your retail, everything, how do you make things smooth and efficient? Any strategies that and tools that you use to streamline your processes?
Yep. So I think all of our projects, we customize a process for each project because they're all very different. They're all very unique. Some projects will have a block, a zoning that won't permit this type of project, or it will have certain regulations applied just to that block and not everywhere else. So we do project phasing and pre-project planning. So before we take on a project, we wanted to like investigate that block. Is it heritage nominated? Like what zoning there is, and if we have to get special approvals either from council, from heritage, or national capital authority, or the other approving bodies here in Australia. And based on that, we can advise the client, say, okay, our time frame is this one, but since you wanted a retail on an industrial zone, then we'll have to get a crown lease approval or development approval to the council just so your project is permitted. And that way they could be guided. And if they haven't locked in that space yet, they could say, okay, let's find another one. Can you help us? So that always triggers, the form or like the process that we follow for each project. Um, and yeah, working collaboratively is also a really big help, mainly because I think in all of the stages of our project, our clients are always involved. Um, we always wanted them to feel heard and valued. And at the end of the day, it's also their business. And they know they know how to operate it best. They know how everything functions. And for us, we're like the third party coming in to help them, and that's always been a very good mindset for us, mainly because like if we say, oh, we wanted to design this and this is how we wanted to design it, we lose touch of what's important to the client because we could get carried away with aesthetics, and in function as well. So in function, like we always don't know how a dental practice operates. So that's quite like the involvement of the client is quite important for us, and it's always helped us. So it could also backfire, but it's always a risk that we're willing to take to deliver a project that everyone's happy with.
So, how do you manage it all and stay calm, Sarah?
I think me and the team are just very calm in general.
Right?
Yeah, I think no one has ever fought within the girls or the drafting team so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So it's no drama.
yeah, no, we're very anti-drama, very anti-politics in here.
That's
It's a
good.
very like chill kind of workplace and environment. Um, you know, if someone makes a mistake, then we're just like it's quite easy because they're always self-aware, so we
Yeah.
don't even have to point it out. Oh, or if I
Yeah.
made a
Yeah.
mistake, you just tell me, and then it's not really a problem. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's sort of, and yeah, time frame is where we kind of like struggle, mainly because we will have clients that have a 3 day time frame
Oh,
up to
wow.
construction issues. So
Oh,
yeah, it's just about like telling them, okay, educating the clients that it doesn't always happen like this. But since your project, you still don't have as-built drawings, you know, um, you don't have the approval for this kind of project in here, or you're not permitted to have this or this and this, and you have an existing, hydrant at your front, or those kind of things. It impacts everything else. And yeah, it's quite good because our client in here listens, and yeah, that's quite kind of like the balancing force between it.
So, can you tell me a little bit about? I mean, a lot of architecture firms have their distinct culture. What is the culture of your firm that is just Eldane? That is the personality and culture of the way you run things in your firm.
I think we're unique in a way that we haven't done any marketing at all except for social media, which is
Yeah.
just Instagram, and we've only posted like once every 2 months. And
Wow.
so I think in terms of work culture, we aren't as pressured as the others because we have partner builders that want to keep working with us.
Oh, okay.
So that means, in terms of like work culture in here, we don't feel the pressure of like, okay, what are we going to do next month, or what are we going to do in the next couple of months, which, kind of reflects because, the team's always happy to work. They always show on time. Rarely anyone gets sick. And even if
Mm.
someone gets sick, they still wanted to go to work, which, I said, no, just stay home.
Just go
Um,
home.
yeah,
Yeah.
because that they I think they enjoy the work environment. I hope. um,
I'm sure they do.
yeah, and yeah, we have we've got a lot of snacks, and
Yeah,
there's
I've been to your office. I love it. A lot of sunlight and snacks.
yeah, and the office is quite good because like the building envelope of the building that we're in is quite unique where the glass protrudes 45 degrees out, so you don't
Yeah.
really get the direct sunlight, but you get a lot of natural light coming in.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't even
Yeah,
have to
you'll
worry
see
about
in our
blinds.
walkthrough how beautiful it is and all the plants are thriving.
We have
Um
more
s-
plants now as
oh
well.
wow. So Sarah, congratulations. I'm very very impressed at what you have accomplished in 4 years or 5 coming up. Congratulations on all your success, and I'm sure because of your authenticity, generosity, and also really talent and hard work, you're going to continue to grow, and I can't wait to interview you again in a year or two, see where you are, Sarah.
In our next office.
Yes, in your next office, and hopefully I'll come back there. So who is Sarah outside of Eldane? What do you do outside of work?
Well, outside of work, it's quite hard because us as firm owners, we usually work even after work hours. Um, but aside from that, I'm very introverted, so I just stay home. But I do enjoy hanging out with friends. I'm a very big gamer. I play
Oh,
computer
talk about your
games.
games. That's where
So
you met your husband,
yes,
right?
so I play Dota 2. It's a quite a competitive game. I think 10, about 10 years ago, I was playing the game and the servers went down. So I went into a forum to, whinge and like now saying, okay, when is the server coming back? And that's where my husband found me. And, we've connected and then we played games and yeah, that's how my relationship started. And, that's funny because Joseph is my very first boyfriend, so,
Oh, really? That is
real
nice.
boyfriend. So,
So you
um,
were, this is a side story. So you were in the Philippines and he was in Australia and you met through gaming. I met
yes,
Joseph, by the way, very kind person, very good looking too, right, Sarah?
yeah,
He looks like a K drama actor for those people who are into K drama.
yeah. Yeah, but he shaves his hair because he doesn't want to maintain it. So,
Oh, well, still,
yeah,
he's a great guy. I mean, imagine that meeting in the gaming chat group.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah. I think and I think after 6 months, I don't know, 3 months after meeting him online, he went to visit Philippines, and
Yeah.
I think he just wanted to check if I'm a real person, if I'm a real girl. So that was funny.
No, this is
Um,
great. I love your story, Sarah. Thanks for sharing. And I got to meet Joseph as well.
yeah,
And your team in your office. I mean, although I think it was a Saturday or Sunday. Not many people were there. So,
Yeah,
no, Monday, I think people were on site or whatever.
yeah.
But
Usually Monday is our site day. Everyone just go on site and
yeah,
make sure everything's
but I
not.
think I will definitely come back and interview you again
Yeah.
in a few years. But is there anything else you want to promote or share? What are the exciting things that you want to share with our audience? Or where
So
can we find you? Where can we find you?
So we have our website, eldane.com.au, but that's an old one. It's getting rebranded. We're also on Instagram called Eldane Group. And I, so we haven't filmed anything yet, but coming next year, we're going to be on national TV, as, featuring some of our projects in there. I'm still, I think Ate Aya convinced me the most to do this, mainly because like before talking to her, I was like straight up, no, we're not doing it. We're busy
Yeah.
enough as it is, but Ate Aya said, yeah, you should do it. We
Yeah,
are.
because Ate, for those listeners who don't know, Ate is older sister in Filipino. So she
Yeah,
calls me Ate Aya. And when we met, Sarah said that she got approached by two national um, TV
TV
stations
channel.
or TV channels. And she's like, I'm too busy. I don't want to do it. I'm like, Sarah, you got to do it. I'm so glad you're doing it.
Yeah,
So
I'm still shy,
hopefully,
but yeah, I still have like 1 year to make myself pretty for TV, but
you're pretty already, Sarah. What are you talking about? See, the
uh,
thing is, people apply to be in the shows, right? There's like a, but they approached Sarah. So I said, Sarah, you didn't have to apply. That's free publicity.
yeah, that's
So think
very
about
true.
all the people you'll be employing in the Philippines, in Australia, because your business is growing, right? So that's, that's my the reason for doing it. Apart from showing your amazing talent and projects, think about the jobs that you'll be creating because of that.
True.
So when is
Yeah.
that, next year?
Yeah, next year, and also I think late next year we're opening a Melbourne branch as well. Just to
Oh, very
um,
good. Congratulations.
open
So
up
you'll
my
be
new
shuttling.
demographics.
So
Yes,
you'll be
I've been.
shuttling.
Yeah, because at the moment we started getting more and more commercial projects from Melbourne,
Yeah.
and it's quite hard not having some team members in there as well to just go on site and meet with tradies. So yeah,
So
it's
okay, so Canberra, you got the capital covered. Melbourne next, maybe Sydney in like 2 years. I don't. I wouldn't be surprised,
I'm still
right?
very nervous, but yeah.
You can do it, Sarah. You have very good people who are supportive of you and your team. So and you have amazing clients too that just want to work with you. So
Yeah.
congratulations. Sarah, thank you so much. I know you're extremely busy and it's really early morning in Australia, but I really appreciate your time and thanks for sharing your stories.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ate.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Architect My Life, a podcast brought to you by MGS Global Group.